trips. Ridiculous. You know what? Yeah. I just won't use the retinue. I don't think that's enough, though. It is not. Okay. Now we make the war. And I don't quite want to send my Chancellor to fabricate claims in Spain yet, so let's get him to make nice with my vassals. Jesse Cool, thank you for the host again. Oh, that's an alert that I forgot to put up. I need to get myself a good hosting alert. That'll be our next day. Lately, I've become afraid that someone might want to hurt me. I'm thinking about hiring two food tasters. Maybe a bodyguard would be a good idea. I can gain the trait Paranoid, which will increase my intrigue but lessen my diplomacy, or I won't let fear rule my life. Trusting, which will lose me intrigue and gain me 1 diplomacy. So if I get Trusting, that's going to fulfill my ambition and I get 100 prestige, but unfortunately that's going to put me 2 behind on intrigue. Let's go for it. It is clear that all other people are friendly and want my best. I've gained the Trusting trait. So the hope here is that at some point I lose Trusting, and that'll sort of supercharge me for my intrigue. I'm not going to assume that the best thing happens for me, so in this case I'm just going to advance learning 2 points of that, and I'll get another 100 prestige. What kind of alerts am I going to use? What do you mean this guy isn't intriguing? He's an international man of mystery. We'll obligate the vassal. Alright, now let's get rid of these boats before they bankrupt me. This is the way you motivate your troops. You burn the bridges. So the alerts that I use are basically just animated GIFs. I found a couple of movie clips that I thought are borderline appropriate for the topics that come up. And smash the boats into islands. Yeah. Yeah, so it's just, movie quotes that make me smile. Yeah, movie quotes and movie images that are vaguely relevant and slightly amuse me. Alright, Ulster refuses to die, so let's at least get rid of him as far as a faction leader. I remember when this used to be like 2 pages worth of factions. How far we've come. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The follow one has the I rule moment from American Beauty. And the clip for the donation is actually one... So it's an old movie that not a lot of people know about, but it's The Killing, which has this really wonderful ending. Like, they make away with a bunch of money. They're trying to make away with a bunch of money. And just as they're about to get on the plane, a dog runs in front of the baggage cart, and basically just the suitcase full of money falls over and the whole thing just goes up into the wind. And then I have the Gordon Gekko greed is good quote running over that. I need to think about what I want to do for a hosting animation, but I won't say what the quote is for the following one, just because I have a feeling that following is a little bit more likely to come up during a broadcast, so people can experience that in all of its glory. I don't understand why this isn't being sieged. Oh, because I didn't clear... I'm an idiot. So I just spent a whole bunch of money moving these troops. Ah. Alright, everybody. Back into the boats. You know what? Not using these. Worst thing is I can't declare war because I don't have... Because I have fleet levies raised. Ah. So lesson 1, remember to declare war before you do anything. No, I didn't try to siege the wrong island. I tried to siege the island before I declared war on it. It's just that fleets are so expensive. This is actually a really costly mistake. And it's one that compounds too, because I was going to use that money to build up, like, my... Okay, that was a bit overkill, but fair enough. I was going to use that money to build up my infrastructure, so I kind of got a bit of a double whammy. I came to the campfire but forgot to bring the weenies. Exactly. You're speaking my language, Redevant. Actually kind of makes me want to have a hot dog now. Okay, because both these guys like me equally, I'm just going to alternate the two of them, so hopefully I don't need to do the succession as often. Alright. I'll at least leave the retinue on the island. No, don't scuttle the fleet. I need them. Your sweet mates are eating hot dogs and corn dogs, so it's so close yet so far, yeah. Basically what you need to do is you need to do the Crusader Kings option on this, which is to marry one of them and then steal the corn dog. Alright, round 2. You could just say that you're... Yes, you could just say that, but... I prefer the marriage and theft option. Okay, let's raise the fleet levies again. This time I'm going to move the 64 ships up right away. 2019... So yeah, I don't see any need for more than 90. %17% chance per year. that works. It might be a while. Yeah, exactly. See, I used to be good enough at probability that I could actually do the calculation of how many trials you would need to have like a reasonable chance of that working out, but my stats classes required me to do other stuff, so I lost that quote-unquote talent. I'm sure you can probably just go into like Wolfram Alpha or something like that, and it'll calculate that fairly simply for you. Or alternatively, you can just save yourself the time and go and buy your own hot dog. Yeah, my vassals are vassals are mad because I keep stealing their boats. Yeah. Redivend, I don't know if anybody told you, but stats isn't fun. So it was a little risky to do an amphibious assault, but I mean, come on, it's 8,000 angry Scotsmen, for crying out loud. I'm pretty sure we can handle it. Or I guess we're the Empire of Britannia, so 8,000 angry redcoats. Of which there may be Scots. You're right, your math teacher is retaking some stats and she showed me and you were not amused. I should be a little careful. I mean, I'm definitely, because I'm doing my thesis, which is very empirical. There is one guy in the class who's doing a theoretical paper, but the problem he runs into is that, unlike doing a real economic paper, I can kind of afford to not discover anything. Because, like, I mean, they expect me to do this thesis within, you know, a term, basically, right? So, you know, if I do all this research and suddenly find out, hey, you know, the relationship I was looking for doesn't actually exist, it's not like they can fail me. Whereas, you know, if you're publishing, obviously that's a big problem. If you haven't found what you're looking for, then you've just wasted a bunch of time looking for a relationship that doesn't exist. So at least if I engage in my econometric work honestly, I have reason to believe that I will still get, you know, a reasonably good grade. I was going somewhere with this. Oh, right, yeah. But that aside, like, other than the grade thing, I've been getting quite a charge out of actually, you know, doing... Oh, yeah, no, sorry, I was talking about my classmate's theoretical paper. So, like, in my case, I can show the regressions, right? I can say it's like, okay, you know... The only significance I could find was at the 12% level, and normally you're looking for like 1 or 5%. I mean, honestly, the papers that I've been reading all find significance at 1%, which is terrifying. So, you know, the guy who's doing the theoretical paper can't do that, right? Like, if he just sits down and he can't work out those relationships, he's got nothing to show for it. You can't show people your scrap paper and say, it's like, yeah, I thought really hard. Whereas I can say it's like, you know, I used ordered probit, I used, you know, linear probability, I did all this stuff, I did the best I could for econometrics, couldn't get the thing to work. And as long as I've got at least some kind of demonstration, I can show them my Stata files and things like that. So as much as I like theory, I mean, one, I get a charge out of doing the econometrics, but number two, it's also the safer bet, because in the end, if I don't find the relationship I'm looking for, then I can still show that I didn't spend the whole month playing Crusader, or the whole term playing Crusader Kings. The Teutonic Order. In an effort to defend Poland against pagan attacks, King Mieszko II is granted the Teutonic Order the county of Chernigov. This province has never been fully settled, and many of the population are still heathens. This noble gesture could help protect the endangered frontier of Poland, as well as further the holy war against the pagans. The infidel should tremble. I kinda wish everybody would stay pagan. It makes it easier for me to declare holy war on them. Again, just my Chancellor doing more Chancellor things. I guess I should check to see if this guy likes me enough, but I'll wait till the war's done and I'll worry about where to put my Chancellor. I'm still not crazy about the fact that the Crusade's not over. I'm still position 2, though. Yeah, this is a much better use of my forces. Oh, we just won. So one of the things about this island attack, I like taking the boats away just because in the end, as long as I claim this territory, I can disband the armies without... Really? I thought I was taking the whole region. Well, as long as I claim some of the territory, I'm able to disband the troops in my own region, and I don't need to worry about like losing anybody. So now the problem here is that I've got a peace treaty with oh, hang on. Do I? Yes, I do. So I can't do anything for 10 years. Although I'm still probably going to be alive during that, so let's fabricate a claim right now. You don't believe what I do, so I must convert or kill you. Exactly. And for the worst thing that can happen in a holy war is they follow your religion, because then you can't take over their territory anymore. You know what the funny thing is? This retinue would be enough to take over the region. So I'm just going to hover over here and watch the rest of the crusade unfold. And again, we're at top speed here, but just because I want to hurry up and make money. This is the problem when you let the Pope run the crusade. It takes forever. Now, I want to know why Bishop John... Oh, it's probably because he's in the freshly conquered territory. How are we doing for technology? Can't really upgrade anything. Improve keeps is probably the next thing that I want, but that's an economy advance, and I've currently got my... The reason I have my steward still collecting money in Westmoreland is just because that's going to give me the financing to actually build these improvements. I definitely like the idea of making those infrastructure improvements with the gold that you have as early as possible. So I have literally nothing that can improve, or that can be improved in Westmoreland. Castle. Oh right, it's port that gives me the money. That was the mistake I was making before. So no technology there. No technology. Okay, I can build a port for the tax income, or I can build toll booth for the tax income. Gonna hold off for now. The port seems to be the better option just because it gives me more tax income for less money. But I want to see what my other options are. Housecarl training grounds shouldn't give me any extra money, so I want to double check though. Yeah, just heavy infantry. I can also build a new holding, but that requires 700 gold, so we'll hold off for now. Castle fortifications doesn't give me anything. We're already building city fortifications there. Yeah, so it looks like improving this... Oop, not this city. This city's the way to go. And we'll start with a port. So again, these are just basic, like, the real advantage to early investment in infrastructure is the sooner you do it, then that's going to be hundreds of years that you're gaining that extra tax revenue. If you leave it too late, then, you know, it's a liability in the end. I mean, ideally, I'd be building infrastructure in all of my territories, but... Alright, the Catholic Crusade for Andalusia has ended. Pope Sixtus IV has won. Successful crusade for Andalusia. The Blessed Virgin has granted Hochmeister Acknell of the Teutonic Order victory in the crusade for Andalusia. I'm not even going to try. Pope Sixtus IV has called for a month of celebration across the whole Christian world. Praise the Blessed Virgin. So, let's get some business done. I want to go on a pilgrimage, why can't I? I am not a commander, eh? Or I'm not supposed to be a commander. Oh, it's probably because I'm leading my retinue. Nope. I'm slightly confused. Let's try unpausing and see what happens. Is it because I have Vikings? Yes. So I'll wait until they're done pillaging and then maybe I'll be able to go on my pilgrimage. You can see too with the oh, another baby on the way. As you can see, like, I've got 21 gold a month that I'm earning. Holy crap! I still think claiming Spain is the way to go. Now that the Crusade's over, let's see. Yeah, I can't declare war for some reason. Okay, so the next few turns that I have in mind. We claim the rest of Iceland. That will go to this sun. Next thing will be, I think we start an invasion here. I'll probably actually make a claim on Santiago just so I have the chance of claiming the duchy. Again, it's weird that I can't just declare holy war. But for whatever reason, I'll fabricate a claim on this area, and I will basically the idea is to just start taking this duchy by duchy, and I'll be able to pass those off onto my kids and just generally start making a foothold in Europe. It's been a while since I've disbanded a faction, actually. Let's... Oh, well, he's still working on Ulster, so... What about my vassals? Who doesn't like me? Alright, the Duke of Moray. I choose you. No, I don't, because my chancellor's working on fabricating a claim. Silly me. Still 17% chance. So we're just going to speed up. It's a ridiculous holding the Teutons have, by the way. Or, is it Teutons? The Teutonic Order? Anyways. Yeah. Yes, usually the better question is who actually likes me. Fortunately, I already got my tyrannical character out of the way. So basically, from this point out, I mean, I can't guarantee that all of the duchies will... Well, sorry, the duchies will always be held by members of the family of Rose. I can't guarantee that every county will be, because the members of the House of Rose tend to... Like, if they've got... Their stewardship can't support their domain size, usually what they'll wind up doing is giving up territories to people who are not members of the family. But other than that, I can always ensure that there's a Rose in the key areas. This is pretty much the ideal trainer for my son. So unfortunately, he's 51, so he's probably not going to last that long. But we'll get the most out of him as we can, while we can. Oh, primogeniture succession? Yes. So, under laws, we'll just quickly go over it. Agnatic, cognatic, primogeniture in Britannia. In England, we've got agnatic, cognatic, primogeniture. We've got high crown authority and free investiture. Scotland, same deal. Ireland, same deal. The only difference here is the Kingdom of Norge. And that's just because right now this is... Like, we still need to kind of contend with the fact that we've got people who are under that kingdom. I believe once I claim this land, I will be able to create a title and sort of declare my independence from that. But we got to live with what we have right now. And I really wish these Vikings would go away so I don't count as a commander anymore. Mysterious Jewish man has offered his services at your court. He is well versed in the feudal court intrigue and has a past both as a mercenary and a spy. If he can be trusted, he could very well prove to be an indispensable asset in your council. Let's see what the schemers are up to. Alright, so he wants to kill the Earl of Glenmoran. I'm actually okay with this because he owns land and he's not a member of the House of Rose. This I'm not okay with because it's members of my bloodline wanting to kill members of my bloodline. This guy still wants to lay claim to my kingdom. He'll say no. He's welcome to try. I mean, I'll just take his title from him if he becomes too difficult. I don't want a non-member claiming the duchy from a family member. And looks like somebody wants Ireland, but I can dissuade him, so... I'm almost certain it's because they are in Cumberland, which is why I count as a commander. But it's a big problem because it's taking a few months for them to get out of here. And actually, you know what? There's an easier solution to this. Daughter. So I can get some alliances. This is how we deal with Vikings. Just ask his helpers to stop blacking the plot? Yeah, I could, but, I mean, I'm not that worried about the plot. If it's, like... If I wouldn't get it on its own, I'll just let it go through. If it doesn't actually result in anything, I'm not too worried. If I ask 3 helpers to stop backing the plot, then that's 3 people who get, like, a -10 for me asking them not to back it, so... I'm just as happy to to keep that to a minimum if I can. Thanks for stopping by the way, Zenitrim. So this is actually a question that I have, is I'm never quite sure what my personal opinion of a vassal actually does. I've never had a point where I've said, oh, I really wish I didn't have a negative 100 opinion of this guy, because I've never seemed to have any kind of consequence for that. I wanted to do something in this menu. What was it? Oh, right. I had prisoners I needed to ransom. Nope, looks like they can't. Oh, but can I go on my pilgrimage? Yes, I can. There are a number of different holy places that you could visit on your pilgrimage. All of them are considered most sacred by the Holy Church, but a somewhat closer destination might mean a safer journey. I will go to one of the ancient sites, Jerusalem or Rome. Jerusalem and Rome are the two oldest and holiest places of the Catholic Church, and because we just got out of the Crusade, I will go to Rome to see the tombs of the apostles. And if we compare piety, I've got 1,126.8, and the Pope has 747.6. So while I'm at Rome, I will make sure that I get him to kiss my ring. My things are packed, everything is in order. Soon I will walk the streets of the Eternal City and see its marvels. My journey begins. The rain is pouring down for days. It's almost impossible to travel the roads. Why does the Lord punish his faithful pilgrims so? Blessed is he who perseveres under trial. I've got a 10% chance that I gain the deadly affliction of pneumonia, 30% chance that I become ill, or 60% chance that I persevere. Indeed, I am almost always more pious than the Pope. It's what the House of Rose does. Alright, let's see how my piety was rewarded. It was rewarded with illness. As you pass through a small village along the pilgrim's path, an old woman comes up to you. She has recognized you as a pilgrim and explains that her daughter and her family live close to your destination. They are suffering hard times and she asks you to bring them a large purse of money. Of course I will help you. I only gain 10 gold? Not worth it. I will gain the charitable trait by putting some money of my own inside. 10 gold is not that much. During the last couple of days, you have made company on the road with a holy knight on his way to the same destination. You have a lively and interesting conversation, and you find that you have many things in common. How unexpected to make a new friend this far from home. I have made friends with Aelthward Rose! Oh my god! I believe this is the son who I let join... Like, I was really worried about the fact that I may not have an heir, but I let him join anyway. Yeah, this guy's not long for this world for sure. This is awesome. This guy found, like, his long-lost cousin on his pilgrimage. This is, by the way, one of the things I absolutely love about Crusader Kings 2, is, like, you can play this game as a big spreadsheet simulator, you can completely ignore all of the flavor text and stuff like that, but, you know, the memes that have come up in this channel with, like, you know, I miss Great Granddad, and, you know, being able to remember stuff like, oh yeah, this is a family member who I let do so-and-so a couple of generations or something like that. Like, this is the stuff that I really like, the fact that you're able to build up these little stories in the background, so... Anyways. I get, it's obviously not for everybody as far as stories like that are concerned, but little coincidences like that really make the game for me. My god, there's a lot of Innu here right now. For those of you new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. For the people who have been in the channel for a while, thank you as well for stopping by, but definitely feel free to make yourself known in chat if you are not... Well, even if you're a lurker, do feel free to say hi. I like to welcome people where I can, but I've since stopped going through chat and welcoming people individually because I think I scared a few people off once upon a time. Grandpa Eadbald the Bounty Hunter, indeed. Rome. You have finally arrived at Rome. As you enter the Eternal City, you are struck by the many ancient buildings and monuments that you pass by. It is truly impressive, and you try to imagine how the apostles felt when they first came here on their holy mission at a time when the city's power was at its peak. Though large areas seem to be depopulated, the city still boasts an impressive population concentrated around the Tiber River. The holy sites you want to visit are primarily the basilicas of St. Peter and St. Paul, as well as the other early churches and places connected to the martyrs. You start making your way to the center of the city, hoping that you don't get lost in the traffic as the crowds get more dense. 1,000 roads leave men forever to roam. Traveling all this way to see the holy places, you had hoped for more than this. It's lots of people, some churches, and a few bones that look really quite suspicious. Before coming, you had read the exalted stories of other pilgrims, but this isn't like they described it. That's it? Emperor Briostage gains the trait cynical. The heavens can teach us much, and you are engrossed in the science of astronomy for the past several days. You have learned the names of the celestial bodies and the various constellations, and how to use the stars for navigation. Your learning has improved. So it's just a comet, not an omen of the end times? Again, another little story thing that I like is that on the trip to Jerusalem, on the trip to Rome that turns out to be like the tourist trap of the Middle Ages, this emperor starts gaining, in addition to gaining the cynical trait, he actually starts getting a more, rational view of the world as well. Something that's just pure random number generation. But, a cute little coincidence that tells us a nice little story, so... You have finally returned from your pilgrimage. It didn't turn out quite as you expected, and perhaps you shouldn't have gone there in the first place. But there's no changing it now. At least you're home again and can start forgetting about it. I won't tell my family what really happened out there. Gain the trait pilgrim, but lose 10 piety. Alright, so let's see what infrastructure we can build. I haven't been following the technology that well, so I just want to double check that none of these will give me... tax income. So the Castletown I still need better tech for. Castle Walls I don't have the tech for. Still building the port. Well, fair enough. I think we could probably host a grand tournament now, actually. So, it's a bit of a waste, but it's good for prestige. Oh, damn it! I wanted to expel the Jewelry before this guy died. So yeah, not even 54. Died at 34. Alright. Oh, and you know what? I don't get the tournament either, so I just wasted a whole bunch of money on a tournament that never happened. Died a maimed cripple. Okay. Against my better judgment, I'm going to repay the loan. And let's think about what we do. Okay, we'll reappoint. No, actually. This will be a good chance to put people I want in the positions. So, Chancellor's fine. Marshal, fine. Steward, best I can get. Spymaster's my regent. And I've got an amazing court chaplain, actually. So, I like where everybody is. Let's try something. No, you know what? I wanna push the technology advantage. I'm okay on troop levels. It's the factions I need to worry about just because everybody doesn't respect me. 6 years old too, so I've got 10 years of waiting. Alright, I think I'm just gonna roll with it and keep an eye on the factions to make sure that they don't get too powerful. Alright, who do I want to educate me? Oh, this is a neat one. So I've actually got family members that have claims on Sweden. That's all that's left of it, huh? Not worth it then. And my stewardship leaves something to be desired, so I've still got... Wow, that's a lot of factions coming up. Yes, legitimate claims. Do I want the Philosopher? Not for 74 gold. Okay, so the big problem now is that all these factions are coming up because of my low popularity. The other problem that I run into is that kids can't defend themselves against factions. So if any of these become strong enough to make a move, I don't have any other option but to cave into their demands. So I'm still going to keep focusing on this guy because he's currently heading 2 factions, but I need to keep a really close eye on who's doing what. I'm also surprised to see Norge back in one piece. I thought the rebellion was going to be successful in cutting that kingdom in half. Not that I'm actually that worried about them, but I still think claiming Spain is the way to go. Yeah, these factions are growing a little too fast for my taste. But we'll stay the course. I mean, there's not a whole lot to do while we sit in this regency. My friends dream of riches, power, and fancy things, but I don't ever want to grow up. And he gains the trait content. When you say I could build a retinue and crush them, are you talking about the factions? I am a poor college student who spends all his gold on ramen. The challenge with... I'm actually not worried about the factions simply because if I ever thought one of them was going to become a problem, I'd just raise my levies and anticipate the war. The problem is that if you're in a regency with a kid, you don't get the option of fighting them. They'll actually you just cave into their demands automatically. It's only when you're an adult that you can actually resist them. So the reason I'm scared of factions is not the fighting. It's the fact that I don't have the option of fighting, because I know with certainty I would beat any one of them. Oh, you mean in terms of troop size? Yeah, that's probably true. Ideally, my spy master will just do his job and get rid of them. I mean, I can always try assassinating as well. Actually, with that in mind, now I need to start discouraging people from fabricating claims. Although I guess technically that plot I don't have to cave into. It's only the factions. Yeah, they all hate me. Yeah, I'll go for the maybe. Oh, nice. My only choice of appointing a bishop is a guy who hates me. We'll see how far we can get with this. Your Imperial Majesty, may you live in harmony and contentment. I will eventually. You cannot stop me. So I'm thinking Moray is the guy I send the assassins to. That gets rid of the plot to fabricate a claim on... I can't send an assassin. Alright, well, let's just threaten a vassal then. So there's at least one, maybe two factions to... I don't need to worry about. Let's start picking apart Lower Crown Authority in Scotland. So who is in more than one? Really? There's no overlap? Oh, wait a minute. Seakelm. Yep. Go work your magic, Spy Master. Hello, Farthid hit 91. Yep, lots of problems on my plate. Well, before the previous king died, there were only 4 factions who wanted his blood. Curiously, when you put a kid on the throne, people tend to think they can push him around. But what's going to be even more impressive is the fact that I get through this and start conquering again. I do have voice royalties, but just kingdoms. Duchies require a higher legalism than I currently have. Cool. So I've got a... Wow, that's an expensive... Screw it, I'm using it. I just hope I don't go to war in the next few years. That just puts me in a good spot. When I finally reach my 16th birthday, I can start kicking ass. It's a victory I completely didn't earn, but I'm glad that they informed me. Alright, I still think... Yeah. Same educator, because he'll actually make me good at things. I cannot afford to pay my magistrate. My debts to the lower classes are dangerous high. The peasants of Northumbria are now completely disregarding my divine right to rule. Oh, I didn't know that happened when you had... Incompetent ruler. Local revolt, risk 5. I want to see what happens. I could borrow money. There's lots of stuff I could do to stop this, but I actually really want to see what happens when I just barrel through. Every day the cook chases me out of the kitchen, but not before I've stuffed myself and my pockets full of biscuits. Mmm, sweets. The Emperor gains the trait gluttonous. My kinsman, Duke Hethbert, thinks I has declared the kitchens off limits. But I'm hungry. Loses the trait gluttonous. I wonder if my Chancellor will let me declare war. Nope. Oh, that's bankruptcy. Cool. So I can declare war on this guy once I have the money for it. See, that wasn't so bad. Probably just have smugglers running all over the country now. There may actually be some value in holding off the invasion as well, because I don't necessarily want to be holding too many duchies, but there is something to be said for... Actually, the first thing I should be doing, because I don't have any benefit to fabricating claims anymore, is getting my Chancellor working on making people like me again. I've definitely decided that we're going to Spain after taking over Iceland, so... 50%, 2 at 50%. Can probably buy a couple of these guys off with titles, though. Let's make him Master of the Hunt. Anybody else I can turn? No, not Jester. This guy will probably die soon, so that'll free up Master of the Horse. And Sunshell. Actually, I should have worried about well, it wouldn't have mattered. And I'm out of debt next month. Cool. Blackmail the vassal. Jesse Quill, thank you again for the host. I'll be sure to have a hosting alert up next. Honored Emperor, though I curse your name, I will comply with your unfair demand. Just keep the sensitive information to yourself. Let's see what traits this guy has. So he's gluttonous, honest, greedy, lustful, zealous, and a drunkard. One of those things did him in. Okay. What's my spy master gonna do next? So again, I'm looking for people who are members of more than one big faction. Maybe I'll go by army size. Okay, let's see what happens. Ooh. How did they get 70? Okay, as precautionary measure, let's do the borrow from the Jewry, and I think I will start hiring some retinues. It's going to take forever to get those things built up, but at least it puts me on the right track, assuming the spy master doesn't do his job. I mean, in the worst case scenario, these guys get what they want and it's lower crown authority in England, which I can always just change back in the next generation, but that's loser talk. The House of Rose doesn't back down. Oh yeah, we were supposed to, I should have taken a look at what the prestige of the house is at the end of the reign of the short-lived emperor. 3177. I think we were like 29 at the beginning of his reign. I'm thinking actually it's probably an idea to just plow as much as I can into these, so I guess I need to wait for 91. The other thing I could try and do is take the troops from the factions and just throw them into an unwinnable battle, but I don't have that many of them to throw. Like, there just aren't that many opportunities to throw these troops' lives away, unfortunately, so we'll just hold off. So much for the infrastructure spending. Not spending money on the philosopher until I'm king. 7 years. All right. Is that me? No. Let's go back to the retinue and put more into it. Well, they're not growing. They used to be 76%, so we'll just stand on this razor's edge as long as we can get away with it. If I declare war, though, it's definitely going to be a problem. The Orthodox faith triumphant. The adherents of the Paulican faith have steadily dwindled to the point where the Orthodox believers are in the majority. This new state of affairs has reduced the Paulican faith to a de facto heresy. All former Paulican holy orders are now Orthodox. The bickering of fools does not concern me. Playing a Sicilian game right now and built 2 extra castles in the capital. It's kind of awesome because you hold all 4 castles and your income is kind of boosted. Did I try anything like that? I actually prefer building cities where I can, mostly for the income. The biggest problem that I've run into this playthrough is that I've made some foolish combat decisions, which have resulted in me needing to hire mercenaries, and so a lot of money which should have gone towards improving my, improving my castles or improving my towns has actually wound up going to pay for wars where I made bad decisions in. So the unfortunate fact is that I'm really, in reality, I think once this kid actually knows what he's doing, I'm probably looking at about 20 gold a month, and I could almost certainly get at least 10 more gold out of that just through the improvements I could have built. So, Kite260, so glad you can make it by. I know you've wanted to stop by a little bit. I hope it's not too disappointing for you. It's a pure Crusader Kings stream tonight. And I don't know how long you've been watching, but I inherited a complete mess. My previous ruler was on his way to doing good stuff, but he had a couple of physical maladies. When you send your steward to collect taxes, the result is 4 castles get boosted income. Yeah, no, I definitely see the advantage to it. And I mean, I must imagine that your military is quite strong as well. But the advantage that I see to... the advantage to that I see to towns is the things like the university. Although I think one point that is well taken from yours is that normally I have something like a domain size of, let's say, like 7 or 9. So I could probably stand to build more castles just so I can sort of max out the value from that. So I don't know. There's always room to... There's always the room to learn new stuff. There's definitely a lot to do in this game, which is why I like it. But yeah, so Kite, you've caught us at an interesting moment in this playthrough where this kid, so the thing we're most worried about right now is these factions that are slowly growing to a point where they can make a demand. If a faction makes a demand of your king before he becomes of age, you automatically give into it. So even though I would be able to beat them in a fight, I don't get the option. So I'm sort of at this race against the clock. I need to wait till he's 16 and then he can start kicking their asses. If they make their demands before he's 16, then I don't have any options. Well, I'm glad you think the game looks interesting. It's I'll tell you, the first time I played it, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Arguably, I don't know what I'm doing now anyway. But it's interesting because it's a game, like, I've said this before, but I think it bears saying now, especially because Jesse Cole was playing Civilization the other day, and it was so much fun to watch somebody else play it. I didn't get to watch very long, but I mean, it's Jesse, right? So it's a wonderful stream. Is it? I don't know, Zendrim. Every time I've run into it, I have to give in to their demands. So maybe I've just been really unlucky, and the Chancellor's been part of it. But I'd rather not risk it one way or the other. But the comparison that I like to make between Crusader Kings and Civilization is Civilization sort of takes the role of the social planner. You're this entity that sort of dictates where society is going to go. So, you know, you could go from a democracy to a dictatorship, and that's just going to happen automatically. I still don't want to pay for the philosopher. And I've got a family member that I can marry off. So, because our last alliance has worked out so well, let's just take a look at what we can get here. French might be good, actually. But we lose a lot of prestige, so not happening. Well, the Greeks are Christian now, so but still lose prestige. Everybody loses prestige. What is this? Yeah, sorry, Kite260. I kind of got a little sidetracked. What I've got right now is I've got somebody that I can marry off. The problem is, like, this game, the objective of this game is to get as much prestige and piety. So prestige is just, you know, the level of respect that people have for you and your family, whereas piety is a measure of holiness. The score here, so the sum total of prestige and piety over this playthrough has been 61,190. And the game will kind of compare you against historical dynasties that achieved either greatness or failed to achieve greatness. I'm just going to send her to the convent, actually. Okay, apparently I can't. There aren't any Carlings available to marry. Oh, here's one. There we go. But yeah, so the comparison between Civilization 5. So the big thing about Civilization 5 is that I think the central theme or the central story of that game is kind of a celebration of all of the great things that humanity can achieve. It's a game that's not necessarily going to concern itself with quote-unquote realism. It's not a game that does a lot with regards to telling, you know, this is the way the world works. Here are the forces that drive history. So much as it is, it's like, here is your chance to do all the cool stuff that you read about in history books. Crusader Kings is a very different kind of game from that. I think what Crusader Kings is a lot more about, and specifically Crusader Kings as opposed to Paradox's other games, which are Europa Universalis and Victoria and Hearts of Iron. This game is about the idea of, like, first of all, it's a reflection of its time. So you may be the king, but the story of this is that just because you're the king doesn't mean that people automatically do what you want. Like, if I take a look at the people who are my vassals, almost all of them have a negative opinion of me. A lot of them aren't paying taxes to me because they like the Pope more than they like me. And because I'm an emperor, I have a lot of territory to control and only so many advisors to take care of it. So I was reading, actually, I mean, you got to hear that I took the long way home so I could do some reading. I was reading Foreign Affairs, and there's an article by Nassim Taleb, and I don't remember who the other guy was. He works for the RAND group, though. And it was entirely about... It's based off of Taleb's book, Anti-Fragile, and it's sort of talking about what are the traits of states that exhibit fragility. So the first comparison that they make is Lebanon, which has a history of, of disruption. Ah, there's the revolt. So Lebanon has these, these rebellions of these problems. I'm actually going to use the vassals to take care of this rebellion because I want to have my personal troops ready. I don't even mind that I'm losing these guys, to be honest. Probably just join a faction that wants to hurt me. Yeah, we'll get rid of these guys too. Alright, I promise I'll finish a train of thought. Actually, I can afford to get rid of these guys then. So he says, you've got Lebanon, which has sort of this history of kind of unrest. And then you compare it to Syria, which, it's not the best place in the world to live, but it is, effectively a police state, and it's at least got this appearance of stability. So pretty much every expert was saying how when the Arab Spring struck, you would see, Syria would get through it fine, and Lebanon would have a lot of problems. I've really been mismanaging these wars. That's fine. It's okay to lose troops because they're all people who are going to wind up joining factions to hurt me. I wish the game wasn't loading, though. Now, the opposite has happened, right? If you read the paper, you're going to be hearing about an extended civil war going on in Syria, which has just caused complete disasters. All right, let's just throw everybody in here. Actually, that's a dumb idea. We'll double back. And Lebanon's doing relatively well. And one of the components that Taleb believes is a factor is the this idea of centralization, that the less centralized a country is, kind of the more, I don't want to say insulated, but I guess the more adaptable a society is. There's some other things that he talks about too, like, and sorry, I keep crediting Nassim Taleb. There are two authors to that article. I just don't know the name of the other author, unfortunately. But some of the other things that they identify are like reliance on one commodity to to make all the money. So a good example of this would actually be Russia, which has relied quite a bit on its oil reserves to maybe not stay afloat, but sort of keep in its current position. And oil prices are going down, so one possible consequence of that is increased unrest inside of the country. Whether or not that'll happen is another matter. But that's an example of something that could make a country relatively fragile, as opposed to, one of the economies that we're used to thinking about, which has sort of a variety of I rule in my realm. So basically you have these, you have something that we're a little bit more familiar in, in Canada or the United States, where there's not one industry that sort of makes all the money, and so as a result, the country doesn't become less stable from, a fall in a certain price. It just proves you desktop generals don't know what they're talking about. Now, I mean, the whole point of this, digression is that, the one thing that I've been doing in this game is constantly centralizing my power. And the one thing that's kind of interesting about this is, my Emperor, the more I study the Fraticelli religion, the more I feel compelled to embrace it and to show you the wisdom that lies in these texts. I have excerpts from the most interesting parts. I urge you to follow my example and embrace the Fraticelli religion. He's mad! Arrest him! So, one of the reasons in this game why I'm continuing to centralize power is it makes me have a larger army, and it basically allows me to control more things and basically have my way. And this is, much like the real world. Just because it's good for a country doesn't mean that a policymaker is going to follow it. So, this is a game that's very much about, what do you need to do to get power? How do you maintain power once you have it? There's a lot of things that are going on in this game, and the biggest thing is, just because becoming king is the least of your worries. You need to figure out how the hell you're gonna take care of all of these vassals that want their own things inside of your kingdom. And so, Crusader Kings just kind of winds up being a game which is as much about managing people as it is about managing the course of history. And I mean, this is the other thing too, right? Is that you're doing that as well. I mean, let's just take a look at this map, right? This is just waiting to be conquered by me. I started off as the County of Westmoreland, just this one thing here, and we formed the Empire of Britannia from that beginning. So this is still a game very much about history and finding your place in the world, making your mark, and again, becoming one of those families that you read about in history books. So in the contrast between Civilization and Crusader Kings 2 is that Civilization is about humanity's achievements, whereas Crusader Kings 2 is, I mean, the genre is grand strategy. It's the idea of war not just being a function of two armies, but all of the tools of the state, assassination, diplomatic channels, imposing sanctions, trying to hurt somebody's business interests, winning a war without ever firing a shot. Those kinds of things. So they're two really interesting games. I'll definitely say that Crusader Kings is a lot more complicated, although maybe not as complicated as it would first seem. But I think both are really fun to play. I think both have their own strengths, and I'm very happy to have both of them in my library. So hopefully I haven't completely turned you off the series with that big pompous introduction, but I don't know. I really like playing games like this. Okay. Let's deal with some factions. There's a side of me that really hopes that these guys are actually going to come around on their own, so let's deal with school. What I should start doing is wait for winter to come by and start hosting some feasts, so I can, at least the people who show up will like me a little bit more. Let's ransom a prisoner as well. Actually, we can... If we banish him, we probably get a lot of gold. Nope. Damn. That was a cheap, fast way we could get some money. That sounds awesome. But speaking on managing people, depending on how you come to power and hold it, you can't get people... Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. One thing that happened, Kite 260, was one of the things that I did 2 generations ago was I deliberately behaved like a tyrant. I just kept taking titles away from people. If anybody protested, I'd send in the army and I'd crush them. The guy was assassinated in the end. But in this case, what I did with that tyrannical behavior was I made sure that there was a member of my dynasty in every single duchy. So yeah, you're absolutely right. In order to obtain power, you can make people resent you. And there's different ways you can react to that. One of the things that I'm going to start doing once the time comes is I'm going to start holding feasts. And that can sort of be seen as, I mean, I hate making these real life analogies, but it's the best thing I can think of right now, which is, I mean, one way I could immediately make people like me more is right click, send a gift, send them 63 gold and they'll improve my opinion of me by 50. This is something that happens in the world every day. Rulers retain power by making sure that the people that they want in positions, or the people who can give them influence in something that they need, they pay them. This is, again, the story about, this is actually from Foreign Affairs again. There was an article arguing that Putin's time in Russia is over because with the falling price of oil, he's not going to be able to pay his cronies. I don't entirely agree with the thesis, but I think it's an interesting one. In turn, you could do what the other generation did in this game, which was not to care about the fact that people don't like him and just have enough power, make sure that your generals like you enough. And in this game, the generals don't have an opinion. You just basically, you take the Syrian approach, which is to arrest or defeat anybody who opposes you. If anything, I'm getting you more interested in the game. The fact that the world moves and reacts to your actions is kind of amazing. Well, something that happened earlier on, because this is a game all about family, earlier on in the game, I had a family member who wanted to join like a religious order, and basically that means that he gives up any claim to the family titles. Now, the character who was on pilgrimage wound up meeting that guy on the way to Rome. So, again, this is something that happened in the game. Like, this is a character in the game. The computer keeps track of his actions. It's entirely autonomous. And as it happens, his cousin, these two cousins met each other on a road to Rome one day, and they sprung up a friendship. So, you can definitely look at this game as I said this earlier, like you can look at this game as a big spreadsheet simulator, and it's just cold and completely, inert. It's just this thing. It's a bunch of numbers that are running by. All of these numbers are tools that can, that can allow you to either claim or retain power. Oh, you know what? I let feast season go by without doing anything. Oh, well. I'll probably pay for it by losing influence. But if you pay attention, there are these little wonderful backstories that kind of form inside of this game, and you just can't make that stuff up. It's really wonderful that the game sort of brings up these opportunities. One thing that I'm doing right now, actually, is I'm sending my spy master to visit each of these potential members of factions and either threatening them or blackmailing them. The option to blackmail only happens if they have something that they want to hide. So, people could be homosexual, which is obviously much more problematic in the Middle Ages than it is today. Drunkards, again, you can blackmail them for their drunkenness. You can threaten them because they are relatively weaker than you, or alternatively, so this says 79, but he should be leaving this faction relatively soon. So one thing that I'm going to do right now is, because I'm really kind of hanging on by my fingernails as far as these factions are concerned, I'm looking for people who are maybe members of more than one faction, so I can kill two birds with one stone. Looks like Bjorn Wolf of Kent. He's only one, so Sykesbald of East Anglia. Yeah, so in this case, I'm choosing this guy. Now, he's relatively old, so he could wind up dying before it matters. But in this case here, he is a member of two factions, so I wind up weakening two of these with one maneuver. And my spy master is actually pretty good at his job, so I'm going to send him to discourage his association with factions. In this case here, he is a drunkard, so it's entirely possible I'll be able to blackmail him from being a member of those factions. Looks like he's not leaving this oh, there we go. So as you can see here, their influence just dropped to 58% because I was able to discourage one member. And so I should be able to get through the 4 more years before I become an adult. Duke Gareth III is a rebel and a traitor. The false sweet words of the false pope have swayed him. He will pay for this. I'm a bit late in taking my break, but I'm actually an hour late in taking a break, I think. But I want to see if I can get this guy to 16, and then we'll start some wars. Nope, more education. So because this is a daughter, I mean, this game is all about the Middle Ages, right? So daughters are not going to have much of a chance of ruling. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rank people by how much they like me. And in this case, by educating somebody, that will improve somebody's opinion of you by 20. I also need to deal with that heresy. Now what I'm going to do here is I've got a few people who like me by -10. So by allowing them to educate this daughter, it's going to put them in a good opinion of me. So there's a few things that I'm going to think about now. I want it to be a duke because they're the people who are most likely to cause problems inside of factions. I also want to go for a young duke because they are they're going to be, like, the benefit of having them on my side is going to last longer. If I go for, like, Aelthric, the Duke of Connaught, he might, and by the way, homosexual, so if I needed to blackmail him, that would be a really good, he'd be a good target. And you can assign your spy master based on that as well. In this case, I'm probably going to go for this guy because he's 38. It's possible that Aelthric will just die, and, you know, the opportunity that comes from... Well, I mean, as it happens, I'll wind up appointing her a new tutor, so there's not as much of a loss. But in this case here, it's just nice to have a more tangible benefit to the policy. So I don't know what this is, though. Oh, club-footed. Well, I'm not too worried about that. Now, I wouldn't make this decision for a son, because a son could potentially inherit the kingdom. I could wind up playing this individual, and so I actually want them to be stronger. The daughter I'm not that worried about, because I'm not going to wind up playing her, except in some pretty exceptional circumstances. Lower Crown Authority in Wales, I think, is my next target. More Vikings invading. Troops are reinforced, which is good. So we've got about 2,400 troops, or sorry, 24,000 troops at our command. And matrilineal marriage. Well, this guy has a negative opinion of me, so I don't feel that bad about losing him. Take a minute to review our plots. So again, I'm gonna cancel any plots on family members just because I don't want any one faction becoming too powerful. I'm also going to end any plots of people who have a positive opinion of me because they are few and far between. The people, that is, not the plots. This is actually a perfectly good example of a plot that I want to get rid of. So this is an individual who has a negative opinion of me, but they are my kinsman, whereas this is somebody who's not a member of the family who's trying to fabricate a claim on his holding. So this is one I'm going to end, well, try to end. In this case, he doesn't want to. Basically because I want to keep my family members in those positions. What I'm going to do now is hold a feast. And not all the vassals are going to go because a lot of people don't like me, but the people who do attend are going to have higher opinions of me. So that's another example of buying influence. The fire blasted right past my face, and I felt how my hair started to curl away from the fire. The fire eater had been a bit too careless for my taste, but his troop and he were clearly greatly skilled. Guests would be impressed if they entertained at my feast. While I was preparing for my feast, a troop of wandering jonglers arrived at the castle. They looked a bit ragged, but the performance entertained the whole castle. Perhaps I should think about offering them my patronage. No feast is complete without boar meat. Who will get the prestigious task of hunting and slaying the boars needed for the feast? I can send out the Marshal Duke Cuthbert, or I can force the peasants to hunt. Well, I'll send Cuthbert. Steward Duke Cuthbert gave grave news. Part of the castle where the guests would be staying would have to be repaired, or else he couldn't guarantee the guests' safety. It'd be rather costly, but Duke Cuthbert assured me the repairs would be worth the cost. 34 gold. Alright. The best part about preparing a feast is deciding what foodstuff to serve. I must purchase venison, boar, duck, spices, wine, and ale, honey for the desserts, cheeses, and perhaps even a swan or a peacock. I will spend lavishly on food. This automatically gives me 10 prestige. So it's 20 gold, but basically I run an empire, right? Gold isn't that big of a deal. So, but that little incremental prestige adds up over several generations. Most of the preparations for the feast have been made. I now only have to send out the invitations. And I'm going to get a whole bunch of people rejecting me. I'm only going to read the first one of these. Dear Emperor Thurfrith, I thank you for your invitation, but I will not be able to attend your feast. In fact, I refuse to set foot in the same castle as you. Respectfully, Duke Gareth III. So one person isn't coming. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, only 5. The guests have finally arrived. All is ready. The cooks have worked day and night preparing food, and the castle has never looked lovelier. Welcome to my feast. Earl Wolfhere spoke and told everybody how great the food at my feast was. I was really glad someone was kind enough to say something nice about the food, given how hard I worked to ensure the food was the best part of the feast. That was well spoken. Thank you. This gains opinion for both sides, which is exactly what I want to be accomplishing with this feast. Steward de Cuthbert noticed that Duke Seixbald had drunk too much wine and tried to dissuade him to drink any more when Duke Seixbald threw up on Duke Cuthbert's shoes. What a foul smell. No, fortunately, it's my opinion of him that goes -10. I'm a little bit more worried about when my vassal's opinion of me goes down, just because that's when they start joining factions and stuff like that. Mayor Aelfwig cut the throat of one of the servants when a clumsy man spilled his wine over his guard. Imprison him. That gains me the just trait. What I can do afterwards is just ransom him, and I'll get some gold out of it. Some of my guests did not seem satisfied with the food, but I would never have thought one of them would have complained out loud. Mayor Safewald said a lot of nasty stuff about the food, and I couldn't help but feel irritated. Fortunately, he's just a mayor, so it's going to hurt me for tax, but I run an empire. I'm not as worried about cities anymore. People exclaimed in wonder and fear when the Fire Eaters performed. After their performance was over, many eyebrows and beards were singed, but none of the guests seemed to care when they applauded the Fire Eaters. I managed to save both my eyebrows this time. 25% chance I gain the trait Gregarious, 25% chance of gaining the trait Charitable, 10 prestige, and Bishop Aelfric really likes them. What would a feast be without entertainment? The jonglers' dexterity and skill impressed and captivated my guests, making me very pleased with them. Your performance was splendid. Again, gained 10 prestige. That's the whole reason why I hire these guys, by the way, is that you get extra prestige out of this. So this is... I mean, this kid's got over 1,000 prestige before he's become an adult. So... Ooh, Earl Wolfhere cut the throat of one of my servants when a clumsy man spilled wine over his guard. We are imprisoning him. That one is more so just to keep people from joining factions. Actually, he has a 100 opinion of me, so I might as well ransom him right now. And that's just 106 gold that I get in my coffers. The last of the guests have returned home, and everyone agreed it was the year's greatest feast. So everybody's opinion of me goes up by 10. Well, everybody who attended goes up for me by 10. And one of the factions disbanded as a result of that. So it's definitely some gold well spent. I'll take a quick look at our vassals just to see the effects of that. So, once upon a time I used to be able to go down several pages to see how much people dislike me, but now I actually have a majority that has a higher opinion of me. I'll just take a minute and see. It's -16, so I can't actually give anybody honorary titles to make them like me more. I could potentially spend money on them, but I don't think that's actually worth it. So in this case here, I'm just going to unpause and we'll run through it. It's just the ransom being paid. Should also just make sure that the... Yeah, so my spy master is actually scheming against somebody who isn't actually involved in a plot now, so... Let's pay a visit to... Harold. Again, reasoning here is I'm just trying to find somebody who's a member of more than one faction so I can make the most out of this trip. Oh yeah, my court chap... I had a heretic in my realm. I have a lot of heretics in my realm. But we'll start with this guy. Alright, how are we doing for technology? Not much. Alright, so we'll just speed up. We've got 3 more years before I become of age. And we'll obligate the VAT. That was quick. So this is the advantage of having a... my Spy Master's got a rating of 18, which is like... I think the average is like 8 or 10 or something like that. So this is one of the best that you could have. I can't actually redeploy him until September. So the main reason I haven't taken advantage of the casus belli that I got was I want to make sure... The one thing that will really hurt my reputation right now is if I get another duchy, which I believe is what that CB has. Oh! Looks like we've got another peasant revolt. It's a pretty small one though, so... Forgot to hit control. Well. We'll send the Irish troops. I basically send everything that's not mine. You know what? Screw it. I'll send the retinue as well. Seems just seems easier. Okay, so Court Chaplain converted the heretic. Actually, so it looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subjects who are heretics. I don't know what's going on with these guys. I don't actually see them anywhere in my realm. But I can probably Well, see, I'm not so sure about these two because they're like 60, so they're not going to live that long. So it's really just my courtier. And it's really not worth, like... I'm not that worried about having Jewish people in the realm. It's more these heresies that have a chance of actually spreading to counties. So I think I'll just get him back on technology again. Most people have good hearts. A stranger is just a friend I have yet to meet. I gain the trait kind. I'm being really reckless with this army, but... My liege, I wish to intercede on behalf of one of your prisoners, Porfin. Surely a show of mercy would please all of your vassals. I'm not releasing him. So, here's the factions that are left over. I remember back when we thought we were going to lose the country. The good old days. So I probably took way too much time getting that army together to deal with the rebellion, but there's not a whole lot for me to do. I'm still making a positive amount of money, so it's not the end of the world. I think I also have enough money to build that toll booth now. Start work on that. It'd be nice to save up for a university, but I think as long as it's an income generating investment, I don't mind spending the money for it. Mostly just releasing it so I hopefully get a little bit of a boost to opinion. If nothing else, it just frees up my prison so I can, I don't know, imprison more people. Sometimes I don't have the best reasons for my actions. Often I don't have the best reasons for my actions. Alright, can we do anything? Yes, we can. So I'll get my chaplain working on cultural technology again. I still think it's worthwhile to get my spy master to break up some factions, so we'll pay a visit to the Isles. So it's probably only going to be one faction that disbands, but it'll be pretty easy to take care of Lower Crown Authority in Scotland following that. And yeah, sorry, I don't think I did a good job of explaining why I was holding off on the war. So right now I'm at a spot where a lot of, like, I'm okay as far as my my opinion goes. Now, one of the things that will give me a big negative to my opinion is if I hold too many duchies, because I already have 2. If you hold 3, you automatically get a negative opinion. In addition, that'll also expand my realm size, or my domain, further, which gives me an additional negative opinion. So all of those people who are on the margin between having a high opinion of me, they suddenly get a low opinion of me. They start joining factions, and I'm back to the position that I was at before. All of that can be eliminated by waiting 2 years. Once I become an adult, as soon as I gain those territories, I can form the duchy, I can give it away, and I have made a friend rather than made an enemy. So that's why I'm holding off even though I have the CB. Now, the problem is that if this character dies for whatever reason, then the casus belli is wasted, and I've just lost prestige and gold for no reason. I'm also mildly frightened at how strong this guy is. He's got 1,000 troops from his domain. But I've got 1,800, so it doesn't matter. Alright, looks like I got some plots to deal with. Wants to kill my heir? Wants to kill a guy on pilgrimage. Alright, well that's taken care of. I'm not reading the begging letters, you all already know what it says. So this is one I'm willing to do, right? So for 19 gold, I get a bonus to military technology spread, which I'm happy to do. It's the, 100 gold so that I can get 50 culture or something like that. That's kind of silly. Got another vassal I can obligate, so at least one faction getting disbanded. Oh, and I've got a free Spy Master, so I thought we just dealt with this guy. Yeah, let's get rid of Duke Henry's faction. You'll notice I'm not really looking for negative traits to blackmail with. I'm just sort of eliminating it where I can find it. I could go on another feast right now. Well, now it's January, so I can't, but I was going to hold off anyway just because I'd like to build up the treasury and finally make good on those promises to build up the infrastructure. I'll consider the infrastructure project more or less done when I've maximized my gold generating buildings and my education buildings. So that basically means a university in each city that I can find, and maximizing like the castle town and stuff like that. I'm actually mostly constrained by technology in my own personal domain, but I still think it's good to. I think it's still good to, push it as far as you can. And I will have him June. So the Duke of Moray is kind of the next obvious stop because he's the only guy who's associated with 2 other factions. Got about 5 days before I can use my Spy Master again. And probably can't take out all the factions in time for this kid's birthday, but we'll do our best. He's got fairly decent stewardship too, which is nice. Oh, good. We've got improved keeps, so that's going to give me some more economic advances. Or sorry, economic buildings. So things like city walls, which can increase the tax rate. I don't think I'll quite build them yet. I'll worry about taking over Iceland and sort of positioning myself for the invasion of Spain. Actually, that's one thing I need to make sure that I have enough money in the treasury for my Spanish CB. Since we're all going to die, why not enjoy life? Experson Rose will know what to do. What the hell? Life spent in the arms of another is a life well spent. I've gained the lustful trait. Attaboy. I didn't know kids could become lustful when they're considered children. It's like if any of you saw the TV series Rome, it's like the scene where Pullo has to take Octavian, who will later become Caesar Augustus, to a brothel for his first time. All right, so getting a nice spread for improved keeps. I'm really hurting. Excellent. Oh, nice, and he became Midas touched, so that's how much? +9 stewardship. Alright, so there's a few things that we'll do. First thing is get married. This is just a quick, easy 10 piety, because I decide when I get married. I can marry the strong Hungarian. Nope. Ideally, actually, I'll find somebody young with the lustful trait. Probably not happening, though. Any interesting alliances? Not marrying the Poles again. That was a disaster. Maybe French? Actually, this is a possibility just because of relatively high intrigue and the attractive trait, which I think is going to be my second best for lustful. Let's see. Yeah, and I do gain prestige from it, so let's go for it. It's that'll take a little bit longer than I was expecting, but I think it's worth it. And we'll go on a pilgrimage before I start a war. I think this time I'll go to Jerusalem just because I don't want to gain the cynical trait. Travel to see the Holy Land. My things are packed, everything is in order. At the end of my journey, the Holy Land awaits. The old wooden bridge has carried many pilgrims in its day. It creaks suspiciously as you step on it. The people deserve a stone bridge. I will pay for it. There's a star shining unusually bright in the clear sky. You see it every night, and its position coincides more or less with the direction to the destination of your pilgrimage. The Lord is showing me the way. 20% chance of gaining the zealous trait. Riders approach. Thundering hooves are heard down the road. The pilgrims look with apprehension at the rising dust cloud. As the riders close, steel armor and steel-tipped lances reflect the bright sunlight. The tension rises, but then a collective sigh of relief is heard as a banner of the Holy Knights is seen flying above the mass of armored men. The knights halt before the pilgrims and graciously offer to accompany you on the road. Praise be God, a most welcome escort. I choose this one because I get 20 piety for it, which is just the same as gaining prestige. Jerusalem. You have finally arrived at Jerusalem. Passing by the Mount of Olives, you enter through the city gate and are immediately overcome by a feeling of having made a truly epic journey. The city's filled with people of all creeds and colors, the air heavy with smells of strange spices and foreign plants. You make your way through the throng of people and animals, excited by the knowledge that you are now close to the Via Dolorosa and other holy places. You plan also to visit the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, but first of all you need to find some place to stay. After all, you wouldn't be forced to sleep in a stable, would you? Jerusalem, oh Jerusalem. The stories of other pilgrims all spoke about how impressive this place is. Now you can see it with your own eyes, and you can only join in the praise. You are glad that you came here, to one of Christianity's holiest places. It was well worth the journey. Another 20 piety. You finally returned from your pilgrimage. It was a rewarding and interesting journey, and you'd do it all again if you could. Still, it's good to be back home. And I gained 30 piety and the pilgrim trait. And now we make the war. I didn't know I had troop levies. And now I make the war. So he's calling in allies, but the big thing here is that unless they actually want to make the whole trip to the island, there's not a whole lot that they can do about it. The worst that could happen is they, invade Britain, but that's where the majority of my troops are. What has this guy got? He's got 2,000 troops to his name. I have 10 times that. I've got, 3 times that almost. So, this is why, normally when I do oh, hello. That's 4,000 troops that are going to be coming straight at me. I want to see what happens. You know what? I'm going to tough it out just because they are at half morale. And there's not a whole lot I can do about this anyway, but I might have got a little too cocky. It's my retinue too, so there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Yeah, they're gonna get their asses kicked. Alright. I guess we do it the hard way. That could have been worse, though. That with 43 ships, that could have been 4,000 troops coming after me. Yeah, spending $50 a month just to have the fleet up. That's... well, I'll just say that's a somewhat